Ukraine says it cannot find justification for South Africa's continued support for Russia. This comes after South Africa, for the second time, abstained from a United Nations General Assembly resolution condemning Russia for its holding of referendums in 4 occupied Ukrainian provinces last month before annexing them to Russia. The resolution was debated on Wednesday whether to condemn Russia's illegal so-called referendums in the Ukrainian regions of Donetsk, Kherson, Luhansk and Zaporizhia, and its attempted illegal annexation of them was carried out by the necessary 2/3 majority of UN members with 143 votes for, 5 against and 35 abstentions. South Africa's ambassador to the UN, Matthew Joyini, in her explanation of the country's decision to abstain, said South Africa considered the territorial integrity of Ukraine to be sacrosanct and rejected any action of a state which violated the UN Charter. To speak more on South Africa's stance on Russia, we're joined by Mujodzi Mutandiri, a political analyst. Thank you very much for joining us, Mutandiri.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you for having me.
South Africa has again abstained from making its stance known on the Russia-Ukraine war. Is this neutrality defensible on ideological grounds, or what should we be reading out of it?
On the face of it, it's something that if you look at the explanation the South African government has given, it should be something that should be commendable in the sense that the government is insisting that this is a position of principle. They believe that the United Nations must be guided by the need to ensure that there is dialogue that will lead to a peace process and a ceasefire, especially in these days of heightened tension that we have seen in the past few days. But also I think that it's an opportunity that has been missed in the sense that there is need to really give strong wording to Russia in terms of condemning the invasion of Ukraine. But on the face of it, you would think that South Africa has insisted on a position. I think President Ramaphosa, from as early as March this year, has been saying that their intention is to push for dialogue and push for a ceasefire of some sort, and for Russia and Ukraine to be able to talk to each other. The geopolitical dynamics that would then emerge in terms of where South Africa stands in the relationships with China, with Russia, with the US, if they have informed South Africa's position, then it would be unfortunate. I would want to give them a vote of confidence, and that it is a position of principle that they have taken. But if it is so, what is it that they are going to do practically to ensure that there is indeed a ceasefire and that Ukraine finds some peace and Russia stops the aggression towards Ukraine?
What would you say to those who are concerned that South Africa's stance may be more motivated by their not offending China more than Russia as BRIC partners?
That would be very unfortunate if South Africa's position is informed by that kind of thinking. One of the things that I've insisted over years is that South Africa, and indeed Africa's foreign policy, must be informed by the interests and the standing of Africans themselves, with very little regard in terms of shaping their foreign policy of what other externals interests are. And I would want to think that what South Africa has done in forming its position is to consider what its interest is and what it informs its foreign policy position. And over years, we have known that South Africa has prided itself in informing its foreign policy positions on human rights, on dignity, and on the concept of Ubuntu and solidarity. And it would indeed be unfortunate if that positioning on this particular case of Ukraine is informed by what China and Russia would say to South Africa. I think that it's a difficult issue to really pin on nations, because we have seen that a lot of people have taken popular positions instead of really looking at what has happened in Ukraine.
So are you saying that of all the 143 countries that voted, took a part to make a decision, you're either for or you're against or you're in between? South Africa has taken that stance. So are they wiser in this instance than all other 143 countries? And to add to that, how do you think their relationship will, the relationship with these countries will be impacted by South Africa's continued stance on the war?
In fact, South Africa's position is simply, in my analysis of what they have put on the table, I could have my own thoughts that I could share, but what they have put on the table is quite clearly saying to the world that the issue in Russia is not in black and white. I think that even though, because in their wording, they say there are some parts of the resolution that they do not believe would lead to a peace process, but just parts of extreme sides of people wanting to vote for or against. And so in a sense, South Africa is saying that whatever has happened, where we are now is that we need to have peace, and let's try and push for a peace process. And I'm saying to you that, in my opinion, that's a commendable position, but at the same time, it negates what I think needed to be a strong message to Russia, that it is unacceptable for anyone to invade a sovereign and independent state against the United Nations Charter and all the other treaties that exist in the world. And so it's a lost opportunity, but at the same time, you could sympathize with South Africa's position.
Yeah, I would really love to stay on and find out really how this will impact the relationship with other countries, but we're time constrained, so I'll have to come back to you another time. Thank you very much, Mr. Mungodzi Mutadiri. I hope I got that right. Thank you.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you so much.